Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. And again, my name is JDavis. For those of you who haven't seen me for a while, I've been doing research and working with clients. And you know what? I'm glad to be back. And I enjoy Radio Entrepreneurs. Why? Because we've interviewed thousands of entrepreneurs and leaders. And it's great to know about business and how people are adapting in this economy. Every once in a while, I'm fortunate enough to have my friend and business associate Evan Macedo, VP of Finance and Operations at Sapers and Wallack, is my co-host, and he's joining us today. Welcome back, Evan.
Thank you, Jeffrey. It is an absolute pleasure to be back on the show. You and I have been doing this for many years, and it amazes me at all the top talent and types of advisors we get to speak to.
Great. And you are introducing us to our guests, so I'll let you do the introductions.
Sure. Well, without further ado, I have the pleasure of introducing Megan Kearney, partner at Exit Factor. Welcome, Megan.
Thank you, Evan and Jeffrey. Great to see you both, and thanks for having me on.
Well, I love the name, so I can't wait to hear the story behind the name.
For sure. I know. I feel like everyone's first initial thoughts are exit factor. They all have their own kind of preconceived notions of what that means. So I totally get it.
Well, 80% of my clients are always talking to me about exits.
Yep, not surprised.
So what does Exit Factor do, and how long have you been doing it?
Like Evan said, I'm one of the partners here at Exit Factor Lexington. And really what we do is we specialize in empowering business owners with tailored growth strategies and expert exit planning. So we're really trying to help small, medium-sized businesses navigate the complexities of whether that's business growth, valuation, and transition. So really, my role is trying to help these small business owners prepare and set goals before that eventual exit.
Great. And Megan, how did you get started in this business? It's not always an easy business to get into.
Yeah, no, great question. So my business partner and I were actually looking at buying a small business. And as we were doing that, there were lots of businesses on the market that, whether it was financially or operationally, were just not in a position where they should be on the market. And so we actually transitioned from buying an already existing business to then literally Googling what's out there today for exit strategy. And that's when we came across Exit Factor, and then transitioned into, instead of buying an already existing business, buying into Exit Factor, which is a franchise company, and helping as many of these small, medium-sized businesses prepare for that eventual exit.
Well, that was interesting. I had all these different questions, and then you mentioned that it's a franchise. So can you give us a little bit of the franchise history and how any group that you're involved with got involved with this particular franchise?
Yeah, so Exit Factor started franchising just over a year now. It's been a proven out process though for, a decade before that. And it was really started from a woman who, her name's Jessica, and she started out in Colorado and has been a broker for many years. And she saw the need of helping, all these businesses she was coming across, and really helping these business owners who weren't ready but wanted to sell. And so that's kind of how she created, off of, her own broker firm, which in this case is Transworld. And then she started to franchise it out. So it's under UFG, United Franchise Group. So both Transworld and Exit Factor is a subsector of that.
Wonderful. And Megan, you coming into these companies, they're coming to you for help. What are some of the top things that you're looking at to make improvements so you can improve their operations and get them better set up for an exit?
Yeah, I think it comes down to a variety of different things. The first thing would be their financials. So what does that look like? Who's handling their financials? A lot of the small businesses we come across, it's their aunt who's the bookkeeper, and that's not going to add a lot of value when you're looking to sell. So we're trying to find ways in which to improve. And not that I'm saying, every bookkeeper in the family is not a great fit, but there are options where you can automate and really help kind of add value to that. It could also be in their marketing. Where are they spending their marketing dollars today? Because a lot of the issues is the business owners focusing on the one thing that they've been doing for 20 years or 10 years, and they're not thinking holistically around it. So how can we have, added value wins for these business owners so when they're ready for that exit and we're defining, the people, the processes, and we're automating things to make it more transferable, whether it's they're selling or they're passing off to a family member. But those are, a few things that come to my mind.
So Megan, I'm just wondering, what's your background and your path to exit?
Yeah, it's untraditional, I would say. I actually studied education, was going to be a third grade teacher, and then ended up not doing that and jumped directly into the tech world the past 7 years. I was in a variety, I was in AI tech, insurance tech, and then transitioned into being a financial advisor. So I did that right before I got into kind of this whole entrepreneurial world and business world. So was a financial advisor and then kind of realized I was like, I just want to be an entrepreneur. And I jumped right into looking at buying businesses. And then kind of that's where I am today.
Great. I love financial services, being in the industry myself.
Yeah.
And as you probably know, there's about 11,000 baby boomers turning 65 every day and planning their retirement, which is a fascinating statistic. From your side of the business, what types of entrepreneurs are you seeing? Is it people on, like, the baby boomer spectrum? Is there a new wave of entrepreneurs that you're working with?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think we had talked about that, Evan, before of just kind of the new flux and transition. So there's tons of baby boomers, yes, that are looking to transition that generational wealth. There's a huge kind of reshaping the new small business ownership landscape. Because of that, I'm a millennial myself, and I've seen more and more. I've read studies, articles that approximately 13% of millennials are expected to become business owners. And that's not just one business, that's multiple different businesses across the spectrum. And I think that's because a lot of what the baby boomers did was they, focused all their efforts into one business, and now they're wanting to sell it 25 years later, whereas the millennials are looking to buy a business, scale it in 3 to 5 years, sell it, and continue to do that, year after year.
Well, you're explaining a very different sort of psychographic, a different lifestyle need in the baby boomer that wanted a long career in a business they were in control of versus a millennial that's seeing a much shorter window in their life and more transitions in their life, which I
Yeah.
actually think is probably healthier long term. A lot of the baby boomers have trouble letting go.
Yeah, and I think that's where when you think of the problems that business owners go through, and it's not I don't know if I shouldn't probably label as a problem, but it's about the emotional and, the emotional challenge of letting their baby go that they've been developing, putting their heart, their money, like everything into, and transitioning that forward. And that's not easy.
No, it's not. I represent that remark. So, in terms of the franchise, what kind of resources are they able to bring to bear for you that help you to have a competitive advantage?
Yeah, I think first and foremost is their platform. So their roadmap on a proven out process and structure, how we can help really, any industry, depending on a certain threshold of revenue, to grow their value. So having and using their roadmap and almost like their blueprint or game plan of how we can improve. And it's not just, will this work? We've seen it, year after year working, and not only working, but adding value. And, the stats that we share is we almost see within that year time frame of working with these business owners a 60% increase in value. So having that kind of structure and value of what they've seen, throughout the many years, we can now use and implement to these companies we're working with.
And I want to ask one follow-up question. What size companies are you working with, and what industry typically are they in? And is it limited to this greater Boston geographical area?
Yeah, great question. So we're industry agnostic. Really, we haven't seen one industry we haven't been able to help throughout all of Exit Factor. I would say our kind of sweet spot is between just under a million all the way up to 30 million. So really the small, medium-sized businesses that we're trying to help. And then in regards to helping businesses and the location, so yes, we do generally try to stick to the Boston Metro West area, Massachusetts, New England, but it doesn't mean that, we can't work with someone who reaches out to us and says, hey, I'm looking for some extra help. My, daughter or my mother, Susie is looking to sell the business in 3 years. Can you help with that? We wouldn't just turn down, that type of business.
It's all very interesting. Megan, if anybody wants to know more about your company and how you can help them in their transition and their exit, how do they find you?
Yeah, so you can find us at our website. So it's just exitfactor.com/Lexington. And you can also find us at my email, megan.kearney@exitfactor.com, or you can directly call me at 781-442-9951.
Great. And Evan, our trusty co-host, how can people find you?
Very easily, Jeffrey, if you are a business owner or a high net worth individual looking to get financial clarity or peace of mind, you can reach me or any one of our fantastic advisors at sapers-wallack.com.
Great. And Evan, you have to bring Megan back and let us dissect a deal, because I think some of our entrepreneurs would like some of those specifics, Megan. It would help them a lot. Thank you for being on the show today. I want to remind everybody this is Radio Entrepreneurs.